Well, Fresh Baked, in case you missed it, we attended the Taste of Calico event last Friday at Knott's Berry Farm. This is a food and wine style event that was held on the streets of Calico, which is literally, inside Knott's Berry Farm proper. And as best as I can tell, it was a smashing success. Now, even though there were no rides open for this event, and the queues for the food were actually kind of long, it was still a very well-attended event based on what I could tell. Lots of fans of themed entertainment, lots of vloggers thirsty for themed entertainment content, and also a few Disney executives, as I was told. Now, though I didn't see any myself personally, this was something that I was told by more than a couple people, and it makes me wonder why would Disney be attending a Knott's Berry Farm event like this? Well, my first thought was, well, like the rest of us, they're just huge fans of Calico Ghost Town. They loved themed entertainment. What more reason could they possibly need? But also, the inference is that they want to see how perhaps it was done. How did Knott's Berry Farm pull off this event? And that's the rumor. The rumor is that Disney is looking to do an event like this, but on Main Street Disneyland. Now, as exciting as this may seem, I think it's useful to maybe pump the brakes a little bit, because there's not a lot to go on rumor-wise with regard to this being, possibly happening, while there are significant hurdles that they would have to get past in order to pull this off. So let's get back to how this rumor started, or one of the ways that this rumor started, and that was people spotting Disney executives at the Taste of Calico event. But really, it's not that big a deal. I would imagine that Disney executives go to every special event like this at many theme parks, just to see, for what do you call it? Reconnaissance, if you will. Secondly, and maybe more important, they already know how to do it. They don't need any tips from Knott's Berry Farm. They've been doing food and wine for years, which that's basically what Taste of Calico is. It's instead of using kiosks, so they're using their actual dining locations. But really, Disney already knows how to hold an event like this. I mean, unless they're trying to figure out how to do it in the streets of Main Street, which would be similar, I guess, in some way to Calico, because presently at Disneyland, food and wine is held on the parade corridor in DCA, which is far more spacious and easier to hold an event like that there. Plus, they're using the kiosks as opposed to the actual dining locations on Main Street. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that Disney is trying to do a Taste of Calico, a Taste of Main Street. Could it work? Well, sure, it could, but I kind of have a feeling that this is a situation where Knott's might have a leg up on Disney in this regard, because I don't think that an event held at just Town Square Main Street would be as enjoyable as the one that was at Knott's Berry Farm. I know that sounds sacrilege to say, and I'm saying these things out loud, and it sounds kind of strange, but I think Knott's might have a leg up on this one. But my reasons for saying this are quite logical, and they break down to essentially size, scope of the event. How big is the event? How much of the park is going to be made available to guests? The rumor, as suggested, would be Main Street, and I am assuming that includes Town Square and probably the Hub. And really, that does sound great. Main Street is lovely, and I would definitely be in favor of finding any reason I could to get back there. It's probably my favorite land in the park, and I would definitely enjoy whatever time I could spend there doing whatever it is that I could. But really, what could we expect? Assuming that they don't bring in kiosks like they do for food and wine, what could we expect? Well, how many dining locations do we have? We've got a Carnation Cafe, Jolly Holiday, and the Plaza Inn. Now, I don't think, can the Starbucks count? Probably not. Knott's, however, had 8 separate dining locations, and that is very significant when you consider that this is a food event. It's a food tasting event. The more variety that you can provide to your guests in a situation like this, the better off you are. 3 dining locations on Main Street and Town Square limits, obviously, guests' possibilities. And I would assume the same to be the case for any shopping opportunities we might have on Main Street versus all of Calico. Secondly, with respect to those 8 dining locations, they were spread out over a much larger area throughout Knott's than what you might expect at Main Street and Town Square. I don't know what the total area is for Calico in Knott's Berry Farm, but I felt like being there, it felt like half the park. But I would probably venture to guess maybe 30 to 40% of the park's overall square footage, which is nowhere near the case for Main Street. Main Street is it's just a single street, Town Square and the hub. There's not much real estate there for them to operate in. And that's important when you think about where you're going to put the guests. Jolly Holiday and Plaza Inn could probably support an interior queue. There is the means by which they can go do an entrance and exit type system very easily at Plaza. A little less so at Jolly Holiday, but I think it could still work. But you can't make the same case for Carnation Cafe, I don't think. Well, it would be complicated. But anything happening on Main Street proper, and that includes Carnation Cafe, the queues are going to have to be set up on Main Street, and that's going to be awkward and difficult to manage. I think we're talking about Carnation Cafe and any of the gift shops that are open at the time. You're going to have to set up a queue outside on the curb, on the sidewalk. Where would you put those guests? Really, the only way to sort of get over this situation to increase the likelihood of getting more guests and spreading them out throughout the park is to extend the geography of what's available to guests, and that means go beyond Main Street. Let guests into Adventureland, or any of the other lands, really. Adventureland, Frontierland, Tomorrowland, or Fantasyland. But more, I think, mostly Adventureland and Frontierland, and then maybe Tomorrowland, if you could just open up that left side. But that takes us into another argument against Disneyland being able to do this. It has been explained to me that Knott's was able to do this. They were able to allow guests into Knott's Berry Farm proper due to a legal loophole in terms of how Calico is defined with, I don't know, zoning, I guess is the way to put it. And that requires a brief history into how Knott's Berry Farm became a theme park to begin with. Knott's the Park was first a fruit stand. A fruit stand that became very popular, and it grew into adding a chicken dinner restaurant next door. And that chicken dinner restaurant became so popular that they added some, Old West themed entertainment around the chicken restaurant to, let guests pass the time as they waited for their reservation or for their chicken. These Old West areas grew and eventually became what we know as Calico Ghost Town today. And that ghost town, the Calico Ghost Town, eventually started to include gift shops and other themed entertainment. And all of this was before Knott's Berry Farm became a proper theme park, meaning there was no admission. Everybody was just free to roam around in these areas while they waited at the chicken restaurant. Or you could just go just for the ghost town if you preferred. But it wasn't a theme park yet. And according to how it was explained to me, that is still how Calico Ghost Town is zoned today, as part of the marketplace, the external marketplace to the theme park. It's not part of the actual theme park, even though your paid admission is the only way now today to get into that area. And because of that, because it's still considered part of the marketplace, they're able to overcome some of the legal requirements for, the guidelines being established today for the COVID-19. If we assume that this loophole is correct or true, and that is how Knott's was able to hold this event, then that pretty much wipes out any chance that Disney could do the same thing, because I am 100% positive Main Street Disneyland is part of Disneyland proper, the theme park, and is not, for example, part of Downtown Disney. You could not make a similar argument if you were to try to make one to the state. So one or the other has to be false. Either Disney can't do what Knott's did, and therefore there is no hope whatsoever for a Taste of Main Street event, or the use of a loophole is incorrect, and actually any theme park can do what Knott's did, and that is open up their marketplace, their shopping district. So here's to hoping that that's true, that the latter is the case, because I would run so hard and so fast to a Main Street food and wine style festival. Now, having said that, the next question would be, while we're talking about it, how much? I will say that leading off, $25 for the Knott's event was an exceptional bargain. Just based on the food alone, that by itself, it was $25 is 5 tastes. That's $5 per taste, which is a great value considering the portion size that you get. This is a full-ish portion size for each of those tastes. It's at least visibly bigger than what you would have gotten at Food and Wine Festival. But then we got to see all of the best parts of Knott's Berry Farm, in my opinion, Calico Ghost Town. And it wasn't just that one little strip there where they have the blacksmith and where you can get your sarsaparilla. It was anything basically that was themed Old West, you could visit that part of the park. A tremendous value, a tremendous time that we had attending that event. So considering that, I feel like $25 is certainly too low a price for Disneyland. But you can't charge too much either because of the limited scope. We're assuming, again, that this is just going to be Town Square, Main Street, and the Hub. So somewhere in the middle, perhaps. Would you pay $35 for 5 tastes and, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours on Main Street? And before I even finished saying that, I said in my mind, absolutely, I would pay $35 for 3 hours on Main Street and 5 tastes. Absolutely. So off the bat, I feel like in my mind, $35 is too low. Maybe closer to 50 is correct. Just, thinking in terms of demand, maybe they could get 50 per ticket. They would sell those out. If they limited the attendance, they would sell those out easily. I am confident in saying that. So maybe, again, we compromise somewhere else. Maybe we do 4 tastes instead of 5 for $40. That actually seems more reasonable to me, again, anyway, because I felt like 5 maybe is one too many. We didn't finish our 5 tastes. Matter of fact, I hardly ever finish any of those things. And I have a feeling there are other guests out there as well who didn't eat all 5 of their options at Knott's Berry Farm. And this is especially true if you're not trying to spend all of your time waiting in a queue to get your food, because that's pretty much what's required. There were a couple lines that I would guess at almost all points of the evening at Knott's where it was an hour. So, I mean, just not all of them were an hour. Some of them were a half an hour, but you get my drift. If you just, even 30 minutes, let's say, 5 tastes at 30 minutes, that's 2.5 hours. The event was what, 4 to 10? But I would guess not everybody was there for the full 6 hours, nor do I think that Disney would hold an event for 6 hours as I think about it. I'm thinking they're going to limit it to, like I said, 3 or 4 hours, kind of like they've done for other events like the all-nighters. I'm sorry, the After Dark events and the Haunted Mansion thing, that kind of thing. They hardly ever let you in there for something like 5 or 6 hours. So considering all of that, what do you guys think? Would you pay $40 for 4 tastes for Disneyland's Taste of Main Street? And do you think that Disney can pull it off? I sure think they want to, considering how well the Knott's Berry Farm event went. In fact, they even just extended it to another 2 weeks. And who knows, they may do this even further, because it doesn't feel like, to me anyway, that theme parks are going to be opening again anytime soon here in California. So it's time to start adjusting. But there you go, guys. Let us know in the comments below. But before we sign off, I want to let everybody know that we're working on setting up a daily live stream, a 1-hour live stream daily on our other channel, our sister channel, Fresh Baked Presents. For those that don't know, that's a channel that we have, a separate channel that we were doing news and opinion on. But ever since this all started, I've been moving the kind of videos that you're watching right now used to exist on Fresh Baked Presents. It's been dark since for the last 4 months. But I am looking to do a daily live stream talking about Disney or theme park news and opinion every day, Monday through Friday, hopefully starting on Monday. I haven't really ironed out the details yet, but I'm hoping to start it on Monday. This is a format that I've been tinkering with for quite a while now, something that I've wanted to do for quite a while, but I haven't really had the time to sort of flesh out the plan. But now is the time, I believe. And with Fresh Baked Presents being dark for now, it's the perfect place to hold that kind of content. So look out for that. Look out for updates there, or look out for a post on Twitter We're on Fresh Baked Disney. That's fresh with no E on Twitter. We'll post something there as well. But I do hope that you guys can join us. Hopefully that's something that you're looking forward to as well. Until then, guys, thank you very much again for watching. Know that we love you. Please wear a mask, and please also be kind to one another. And we'll see you next time. Fresh Baked.